3.
They can all go up there during the week if need
Yeah.
be.
Okay.
You're talking about DPW, so it could be 5.
Yep.
5 people with 100 hours a year, let's say, you know,
Yep.
it could be, it just depends on the work that's needed.
We have 2 active wells right now in the village, the one on First, at the end of First, and how about this one on Amanda Moore School? Oh, that's just the,
That's for
that's for Detroit?
Detroit, yeah.
Right.
I think both our active wells are up by First Street,
Right at the,
that's my understanding.
The one by Amanda Moore is not a well, is it?
That's the
It's
transfer
actually
station.
just.
That's a transfer station.
yeah.
Detroit Water.
For Great Lakes, yeah. And then the backup is
Matter of
out
fact,
Washington.
wasn't the township, Washington Township, wanting to put a transfer station at the bypass? They wanted to use the,
Down by Powell and 31-ish.
yeah,
Yeah, that's,
I don't know if they ever
Different.
finished it.
I'm trying to remember that First Street well.
So the uniform and cleaning is essentially the DPW guys, that part of it gets billed into,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
And then if their phone bill came in at 4,200, but we're projecting 4,800? Is that just because we're expecting rates to go up? Or?
Right, so when all the systems were finally getting closed down, credits were showing up, and that's probably, yeah, why it's lower this year than next year.
Okay, so 4,800 will be the
Yeah.
stabilized,
A
okay.
lot of credits come through, that was crazy. Every time I turn around, what
So then the education and training, is that for DPW guys in regards to the iron removal plant?
To all their water licenses, yes.
but it's,
But then do they have it in the DPW side as well?
Well, there's different licenses, I
Yeah.
believe, so
A
like
lot of
for,
different licenses.
I'd have to look them up. They're all in the union contract. There's different licenses for different operations, basically. So these ones would be pertaining to water.
Most of them, there's a lot
Yeah.
of water ones that they can
Yeah.
contain, but
Okay.
yes.
So the trainings are basically overlapping each other then? I mean, they're gonna use what, off the, the water fund, or the wastewater, in order to adapt itself to the water system. Okay, that's why it's such a low amount. Okay. Just to give you the line item for billing, right?
Sorry?
Just to give you the line item for billing.
Yeah. And so we try to keep the expenses in the right fund, so the rates are calculated correctly.
Board, are we good? Art? Pat?
Guess so.
You're done? Next show.
All right, motor pool fund. We have capital outlay in this fund, 25,000 to purchase a tractor. Total budget for repair and maintenance is 45,000. 15 of that is for painting the backhoe. So this fund is mainly, the revenue is driven by, we use a piece of equipment, we worked on, let's say, Village Hall, so then we would bill that time to Village Hall and would, as a cost to them, it would come back into the motor pool fund as a revenue. And the point of the fund is to accumulate money in order to purchase vehicles out of it for DPW.
The tractor also reflecting our capital outlay for
Oh, it's the same tractor? No, I think they want a new tractor for 25.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
Got my tractors mixed up.
yep.
So then their operating supplies, requested is 3,120, and then next year it goes down to $40.
It's probably based on trends that they put operating supplies in there, but if you look at, I don't have it in front of me, but if you look at previous, what does it look like?
Yep, it
Yeah.
is, it's like 30, then
Yeah.
2,700, and,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
Yeah,
just.
so we lowered it
Wanna
for the
make sure.
recommended because,
All right, and then gas and oil, they're projecting like a $15,000 increase. Is that just because gas prices,
Yeah,
probably?
it's literally driven by gas prices.
Okay,
Yeah. And as you know, you can't really
Alright.
predict those very well, so it's better to budget an increase.
yeah.
It is their turn.
And then they're only gonna spend $600 on a telephone all year?
I'm sorry?
$600 on telephone?
Again, those were the major credits that came through, just like you saw, it was across the village.
So 600 will be
The-
their regular
their
phone
new
bill?
bill.
So why
Yes.
are some so high and some so low? Is it the number of lines? or-
Yes.
Number of lines.
Yeah, Catherine went
Okay.
through and found all the lines that were still open and closed them all. So that's why we got
Yeah,
these giant
Yeah,
credits.
because they were
Yep.
Yeah, so that line is gonna look really
310,000
weird
last
this
year,
year.
so-
Yeah. Well, and some buildings have multiple lines because security systems and the alarm systems have their own designated lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's a VoIP, so.
Okay, that's what I was hoping. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's no getting around getting those, having those lines look the way they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have to reflect the credits.
Yeah. But 600 will be the norm?
Yes, that's understood to be the
That's-
norm.
That's what I'm-
So you said it was 15,000 to paint the backhoe?
That's what they requested.
And the
So-
purchase was, 30 was for what again?
The tractor, I believe?
25,000
Yeah,
is
25,000.
budgeted for the tractor, because they said they're, according to the meeting I had with Tim, the current tractor was from 1969, so they would like a new one. And the $15,000 to paint the backhoe actually came out to be about $12,000, so the $3,000 was used for another capital outlay project.
So that was already done,
That was already done, yeah.
but we're budgeting
It
it
for next year?
It shouldn't,
Okay.
because they used the, no, because, I'm sorry, I'm getting my projects mixed up. Sorry, I was thinking of the camera. It's the camera in the other project shared. Never mind what I just said about the backhoe. It was
Okay.
the camera came in lower. The sewer camera.
I remember that.
So
All the
yes,
numbers
I'm sorry,
blend together.
yep, getting my projects over confused. Repaint the backhoe is projected for next year.
No, let's
Okay,
just say
No,
the
if it
trac-
was, we
the
take it
tractor
out.
is 30, not 25.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I think, is there another $5,000 item in there?
There's 30 and 15.
I have
Yeah.
25, but I don't know if he
There
told
might
you
be
any.
another
The
$5,000
capital
item
outlay
in there.
for 25.
Repairs and maintenance, or are you in capital outlay?
Capital outlay.
Capital outlay, the tractor is 25,000.
Yes, but if you're in repairs and maintenance,
Right, so.
the
they would-
30,
There's 30 that they would expect for normal things throughout the year, that's normally what they would budget.
okay.
And then they're asking for an additional 15,000 for the backhoe. So I just broke out the two amounts, just so that you can see what they were. So like if you look last year, we spent 25,000 in repairs and maintenance, so.
Last year?
Budgeting 30,
23, 24 is showing 53, right? 23, 24, oh, it's 30.
okay, yes, there's a projected,
Actual is 32.
yes. yes.
Actual is 32, okay.
Yeah, so we're predicting, you know, we're budgeting for 30 for next year for the regular activities, and then the additional 15 for the backhoe.
And is that's not the tractor they're replacing, is it?
It sounds like it. The
Is
original
he-
one's from 1960s.
So then, but then that's what I'm saying, so we're gonna pay 15,000 to paint an old one?
No, the backhoe.
backhoe.
The backhoe. Paint the backhoe. Two different assets. We're purchasing a
That's
new
what I'm at, yeah,
tractor.
So that they're not replacing the backhoe.
No,
No.
no, they're gonna paint it.
That's another 85 grand.
Yeah.
And you said that's cheap, but. Okay.
Next, we're replacing the tractor from 1969 that is at the yard.
That's a classic.
According
We
to,
oughta
oh, why not?
get some money for that
Purchase
baby.
Ford 2000 mower tractor, 1969.
What will they do with it, the old one?
I don't know,
You
probably
drive
take
it?
it to auction like they did a few of the other vehicles last week.
Somebody's gotta want that.
Still works.
It was Woodstock.
Date yourself, man. Yeah, Bart, that'd be something cool, huh? Thinking the same thing. Good?
You're right, 64.
I guess we're good. We're on to retirement fund.
Okay.
Are you good, Justin? Good? Okay. Yes.
So retirement fund, this is just a net zero fund. So we pay the retiree healthcare out of each of the funds. So each of the funds contribute money based on however many retirees they have into this fund, and then we turn around and pay the retiree health care bills out of it, so it's always a net zero. We expect a 6.5% increase in insurance rates effective July 1st, or January 1st, 2025.
Is there any cost to the employee for any of their insurance?
I don't believe so. I don't believe retirees pay for anything for their health care.
How many employees are retired that we're paying for?
I think is there like 40? Trying to remember the list, because a couple of them have retired in the last, since we've been here.
Yeah.
Oh, mostly employees, a couple of electeds.
Yeah. We'll get the
What was that,
list.
Catherine?
1 second.
Well, it's employees and a few elected officials are on the
Mhm.
pension and the health insurance.
Yeah. Julie's gonna get you the exact number. We'll see how close I
Oh,
was.
I just wondered, it wasn't super important.
Yeah.
You good?
I think so.
G.
About 21.
There you go. I was
21.
off. 21.
There we go.
Okay. This was requested to be added onto the agenda, discussing the DDA's budget. So similar to the village's budget, we expect a 5% increase in taxable value, so that will affect the type of money that comes into the DDA as well as the millage. Employee expenses are expected to increase. They're working on hiring an executive director, so that's the change that you see there between the actual and the budget. They haven't had a director the entire year. Downtown decorations are expected to increase due to additional investment in decor, lighting and banners, and they obviously plan on buying them to use them for multiple years in the future. So they're investing now.
So what's the difference between preliminary budget and recommended budget?
So the preliminary was the one that we presented.
Oh,
back
yeah.
in April,
Okay, I'm sorry.
that we put together for you, and then the recommended.
Yeah.
Or if you're talking about the change department requested and recommended.
No, I think she's looking at the DDA budget. But I think that's correct. The preliminary budget I believe came from the DDA to us. We evaluated it, gave feedback to them, and then they made any changes that we suggested. Or didn't make them if they didn't want to.
So the recommended is the
Recommended
one-
is what's being adopted by the DDA.
Okay.
I think the preliminary was on there for their eyes, because to want to see what changed from the original to the new.
Okay. So then for employee expenses, it went from 42,000 to 64,000? What,
That's the executive director, I believe. They increased the salary to try to attract somebody.
okay. Downtown decorations went from 63,000 to 130?
Mhm. That's what was on,
To make some investments.
yeah. They're buying decor, lighting, and banners to buy to use for the next however many years.
Yeah, I was
To
at
replace
the
the ones that they
meeting when
have.
they talked about that. I thought it was closer to the 65 to 70 range. I don't
I think it
recall.
was just the winter holiday, they were projecting somewhere around 80
Okay, just
for
the
the
winter.
winter decorations, which,
Because this is like,
It's crazy.
this is Christmas, Halloween, whatever other decorations they put out during the year. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
Christmas.
And then on the next page, under recommended budget, there's a lot of zeros with the DDA to estimate. So do we really not have those totals yet, or do they really want it to be zero? The notes keep saying DDA to estimate, leave it zero.
Let me see what you have.
Hold on, let me see if I can-
The preliminary budget that I gave to them
Yeah.
originally.
Winterfest decoration, Vintage Fest decorate, it's all the decorations.
No.
downtown
But,
beautification.
but even like vendor fees, busker fees, like even their fees are at zero.
That's probably the original budget, that probably shouldn't have been printed. This is all on an Excel sheet. It's probably, here's all the things we need you to fill out. And then they
Okay.
did, and then we did the preliminary budget, and then we did the recommended budget.
Okay, so
I'm
we
trying
can
to see
cross
what you
that out.
have here. Yeah. Yeah, this is from February of 2024. This probably shouldn't have been printed.
Okay, so we're looking at just the one,
Yeah.
okay.
As you know, they've had some turnover there, so we were helping them understand how they should be budgeting their costs. So we provided them with that.
So they're not anticipating any other revenue or donations?
Not at this time, no. They don't have an executive director at this time, so until that person's hired, it's hard to know how much they could go out for donations and sponsorships.
Yeah.
And it is a revenue item. It's okay to be over on revenue. It's not
Yeah.
okay to be over on expense. So if they end up having donations that come in, we can amend the budget to increase the revenue in that line item. But I think they wanted to just show what they know they were gonna get, so they could properly budget for that position and know the effect on fund balance, because that is donations, I mean, that's such a variable number. You could
Right,
have one really nice person give you 50 grand, and then next year you get nothing, so.
right. And I mean, obviously, it looks like they've gotten at least close to 6,000 a couple of times. I think if you leave zero, I don't like leaving zero. We know they're gonna get something. I mean, even just the Vintage Fest that occurred, they got quite a bit. So they don't have to be accurate, but to leave it zero, I don't think sets a good precedent of, should be something to attain to, some kind of goal or guess.
And we can certainly bring that up to the DDA board.
Pardon me?
We can bring that up to the DDA board.
Yeah, they need to
It's
have a
their budget.
goal. Because if you just put zero and then go, oh, well, whatever comes in, you know what I mean? You gotta kind of try and have a plan of some sort.
Is that it?
On here, does it show where if the DDA utilizes DPW and or like PD or something like that for events or hanging banners or doing stuff, do they pay out to the village for those expenses?
I think so, as long as we invoice them, right? They
Yes.
can't pay unless we invoice them, but I believe there are invoices in there, yes.
And what category would that fall under?
That would
here?
probably, I would think it would probably fall under CBD events.
our
So when they put up
DPW
banners for events, that's where it would go, to
So
pay
our
for the event.
DPW has a specific line item they can charge for the funds that come out of the DDA account.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, they're two separate entities, so the village will prepare an invoice, send it to the DDA, and the DDA will pay it.
Okay, so
Yeah, there's no like intermingling, it's like one business to another, basically.
Do you create that invoice, Catherine?
I believe Chris does.
Yes,
The
Chris
DPW
would do from
secretary.
DPW. She
Yeah.
has the ability.
Because she keeps track of the hours.
Oh, yes.
So the banner install and maintenance for 3,000
Mm-hmm.
they've got, that would be to pay DPW.
Yeah, most likely, unless they paid an outside contractor, but they don't usually, they usually pay the DPW.
And what about like PD when they,
I'm
Or
not
an
aware that
event
PD
already.
has ever charged the DDA. I don't think I've seen that invoice come through ever. The
I
PD
don't
hasn't
recall.
provided us at least, because we would be the ones to invoice that, but we need the data from them if they want to invoice it. I think it's just been done as a courtesy.
yeah, so when we got a officer in a vehicle sitting
Mm-hmm.
in town
Couple
for a
officers,
whole
yeah.
event and not patrolling town and maintaining the rest of the village, it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be an expense that the rest of the
Taxpayers.
taxpayers are covering. So,
We can certainly ask the police chief to keep track of that,
That'd be-
and then we can invoice it based on the hours he tells us.
Okay.
Or create a specific billing. for
That
it.
would probably still go under CBD events, because that's to help pay for the event, the cost of the event. So it'd go under the same
Yeah,
line.
because it probably then would fall
Yeah.
under overtime.
Yeah.
for the police, which, that's,
Then they're able to build a
Yeah.
PD, okay. Good
So,
catch, good call.
the CBD events, looks like they have decreased the budget by $6,000 from last year.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to them talk about the new decor that they want to order, it's about twice as much. And they were talking about getting with DPW to have them put it in. So I'm wondering then if they're undershooting what it's gonna cost them for the CBD events, if they're ordering twice as much decor to have.
Is it twice as much decor, or is it replacing the old decor?
Well, they are replacing some, but they're ordering twice as much as what they have
Used to
usually
have. Okay.
purchased.
So I think they pulled it out of events, so the decor wasn't attached to the event. Like on here, it's talking about winter holiday greens and install
Yeah,
for $70,000. That was the number that you were talking about, 70, then the lighting and install. They've separated that out
Okay.
of events and put it as its own line item for the decor in the 880.1 or 100, whatever.
Downtown decorations.
Yeah. They
So-
pulled that out. Looks like some of that I thought they were discussing, I think a company was installing and some they were gonna ask DPW to do, I
Mhm.
believe.
Yep. Okay.
Do you know, and skimming through, when I went through this, I didn't see, do they have any plans to do any like infrastructure improvements, or is it just all events and
it's all
decorations?
events. Yeah, I don't believe there's any infrastructure included in that, which is in, I believe that's in the master plan for the TIFA, is some infrastructure.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that they don't have an executive director for someone to do the day-to-day to bid it out, plan it, et cetera. So hopefully, when this new person comes in, they can start looking at that, see what they can do with that money.
So should there be a line item here that talks about infrastructure, or like, they were talking about wayfinding and signs and all that, like,
We could ask them, but like, it's kind of like the cemetery question. We don't know what they plan on doing or how much it's gonna cost, so do you really want to put that in the budget now?
It's a good-
It's kind of the same situation.
Cause their funds are set, it's not,
Yeah,
we lower or raise a millage.
No, it is what it is.
Maintains the same regardless.
mhm,
So if the money's there growing in the fund balance,
mhm.
it's there to use.
Yeah, right now they have 260,000, it looks like, by the end of 2025.
So I agree. Initially, I thought that when this new, or DDA came, they were gonna, I think, focus away from events and look at more, you know, the infrastructure and the core of downtown, and that's because we haven't seen it yet, because we haven't had a director that will manage that, so. We'll see.
makes sense.
I'd like to see some improvements.
Mhm.
Matt, you were gonna say something?
No, I will, it got answered. But as far as that, I think events bring people in to the downtown area. That's important. I mean, I don't know what kind of infrastructure they're talking about, or your guys are talking about.
I mean, just the.
Like
the
signs
si-
on
the
where to park.
Sidewalks,
signage,
yeah,
and
signage, yeah, light
Parking,
poles.
I mean, there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that they can,
Mhm.
that's been a complaint for years. I mean, the brick paver sidewalks are heaving and the trees are way too big.
Mhm.
You
The
know,
road closure signs, we charge for those?
Oh, and
I mean,
DPW.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's put our finger in everything, we can,
We'd have to ask Chris that. I would
Because,
think so. I
we
mean,
gotta
that's
get
part of
new
setting
ones
up for
to
the
put
event,
down,
just
yeah.
like putting up fencing, right? So I'd assume that that goes into
I
it.
think DPW lays them out the
Yeah.
day before while they're on shift, but
Yeah.
then they're using time to do that.
Yeah.
And then I think PD and volunteers set them up,
so are we charging for those times that we,
yeah.
My
Absolutely.
understanding is yes.
Yes.
Whenever they work on an event, that's where they will charge their
I
time
think the
to.
police do set those up.
Plus our equipment,
That's what
too.
I've seen.
Police and-
Yes, they'll get a
Yeah.
rental fee as well.
because when we gotta replace it, we're stuck holding the tab.
Especially when PD's saying he's got a laundry list of stuff that he needs
Oh, yeah,
purchased.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
are we good?
yeah, if you could ask them on those things, I guess that'd be great.
On the infrastructure?
Yeah, if they had discussed or plans or anything.
Okay, we can ask.
I haven't asked them, so I don't know.
Yeah, I added a H, review of the total budget, and that's this proposed budget sheet. Just curious on the village clerk spot,
Yep.
the salary for the part-time. Should that be a separate line item? I mean, you have it attached to the clerk in itself, but is that like for the Cindy position?
It's for the Cindy
Yeah.
position.
So shouldn't that be separate from you? Because it's actually built into the clerk.
Well, I believe that person falls under the clerk,
Clerk's department.
the clerk's department.
Well, shouldn't that be separate though, a separate line item? Because it's in her total salary, the way that you have it written here.
No, it's on a separate line for part-time?
It's on a separate line for part-time, but the total amount at the bottom.
That's the total for the whole.
Whole
For the
department.
Whole
Department.
department.
Yeah,
So
so
that's for
the
everything.
clerk is the person sitting next to you, the elected official
Correct.
is a separate line item. It's titled elected official. And then the part-time would not be,
So the total
Yeah.
amount for that department then would be the 80,151, which goes up to 89,87.
the recommended for
Okay.
this year with the 74, 75 increase. And that is the Cindy replacement, that's the portion coming out of the clerk's department? 'Cause then
Yes. Part of
it's
it is
kind
in
been out of
building.
The building department.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Because Cindy isn't solely working in only on building-related things. She also works in the office, doing planning and zoning and all.
I
bunch of
feel
other
like
stuff.
Cindy's everywhere.
She is. So that's why the best place to put her is in the clerk's, that person
I
is in
think
the
I
clerk's
called
department.
wastewater and
because-
she was doing testing over there for something. I have no idea.
So her time sheet basically has all the departments in it too.
Yes.
It does.
All right.
And then office supplies for $110, how do you, what office supplies is specific to the clerk?
It would be anything, paper clips. I mean,
So you divide it out among departments?
yes, yes.
Okay.
On your training, can you include some accounting courses in there? Or do you already take some accounting courses?
I went to, I can
Yes, it just-
continue that.
Yes.
I've been taking some just basic overviews, but there's an association I belong to that can go, some of their workshops go a little bit deeper.
More than we bring you up to par, we can get rid of these guys.
Okay. Wow, okay, but
I love you.
I will check out their curriculum, the MGFOA.
Yes. 180, 160, 180, oh, heck yeah. We love you. Put that part in there too.
Is that, what do we play Plant Moran total? Like, what are we gonna pay or projected to finish this year at?
Let me see,
160.
let me get to it.
That's obviously as a whole, and
Yeah,
I think, you know, DDA contracts you guys also now?
yeah, they've contracted us for a couple of years now, but that comes out of the DDA
Yeah.
budget, not the village budget.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to the amendment. I do know that you guys have used us more this year than in previous years, just because of things that have come up outside of our normal duties. I do know that.
You guys done a good job.
So as things hopefully calm down, our fees will go down as well. Because when, we've done good work for the village in terms of financial analysis for all these projects that we've had come up, like the street project, the Bruce Township contract, the Mitt contract. A lot of things have come up this year. So as long as things don't, these new financial analysis that are needed done go down, then our fees will go down, because we're paid hourly. So,
Always something though.
yeah, we're paid hourly, so.
We like you.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to open up the amendment. It's not opening for me. Maybe if I do the PDF. Yeah, yeah, we do prepare you for audit as well.
So the professional accounting and audit is part of it?
Yes. Yeah,
All of
in
it
that
or
line
part?
item is us and the auditor.
So the 181 this year?
Yeah,
is
that's us
partial.
plus the audit fee
Okay.
from Gabridge and Company.
And then there's other amounts there also?
I don't think so. I think in that line item, it's just us and Gabridge.
There might be some fees in there for MERS.
Oh, for MERS,
for
okay.
administrative reports
Yeah,
Where do you see the one on your line?
Under professional, under village hall and grounds.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't, but you bill other departments then also, right?
no, all of our bills go into that line,
The-
Only.
okay, The 181.
yes.
fif-
And then we
five.
take that and divide it out through that admin allocation charge.
Okay,
So the revenue up top in general fund, there's a revenue up there to help cover us, Caroline and Rebecca.
so you were saying 160 you saw, so 160 is probably pretty.
It sounds about close, yeah, to
pretty
what we
close.
have for this year, yes.
160 a year, this year.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it last year, do you know?
Can you look that up? I'll get that answer for you in a second. Yeah. I do know that it is more this year, because we've done more work for the village.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You cool, Bart? You cool?
No, he's waiting on the answer. Julie's looking up.
Oh,
No,
she's
yeah.
looking it up.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
No,
No
but
pressure.
under that same thing, I missed what Zach said about education and training. But,
He asked if the clerk would take accounting classes so that we could get rid of Plant Moran.
That means it'd be some
Which just
fun.
brought up, I just wondered then, well, how much do we pay them?
Yeah, which is a
Yeah.
fair question.
Country western songs. Let me miss you. How can I miss you if you don't go away?
It's just a difference between classes and a degree,
It's country western songs.
professional degree.
Well, I would wait for that. The budget adjustments that we have, was there any that didn't look correct to you? We were recording all the adjustments that we talked about the last like 3 meetings, so we've accumulated them on
Yep.
this sheet,
yeah,
just to show you, make sure we got all of the changes that you requested.
okay. And then I'll go back to the education and training again, like I did every other department. I mean, you just asked our clerk to become an accountant, but
Not to become one. Yeah,
to learn, yeah.
Yeah.
So, under education and training, is that training, or are those like conferences, seminars?
Yeah, conferences, seminars, because between the Clerks Association and the Michigan Government Financial Officers Association, and also in the, this current year budget, I used some of my budget to pay for some of President Poznansky's conferences because she was afraid she was going to run over budget on village council education and training. So we kind of shared my budget this year. But in order to answer to your, that's probably why it looks like it's almost depleted. But to answer your question, yeah, education and training.
Yeah. Again, it's just a lot. Not to say that education and training is a bad thing. I'm all for it, but it's a lot, especially when we have people in place, like, this is year 5 or 6 for you, so I would think that should be pretty seasoned in that. Same with our treasurer.
I have to disagree with that. I mean,
Well-
laws change.
Oh,
You know,
gosh,
Things
yes.
happen all the time, and you've got to be kept abreast of them. You can't just sit back on your laurels and say, well, I've been, clerk for 6 years, so
I am
I'm
not
done.
suggesting that, and I wish you'd stop saying I'm suggesting do nothing. I'm not saying do nothing. So
Okay,
please
I'm
stop
not sure why you
suggesting
keep
it.
attacking
I'm not
education
attacking,
and
I'm
training.
asking. Because I have an eye for detail and I care about the budget.
Okay,
Okay, let's continue the conversation.
If
If you
Pro
would,
Tem
please.
Fowler, if I can just
Yes.
add. Also, though, but to the education, both me and the treasurer, we were a part of a 3-year curriculum that once you completed this conference, after 3 years, you don't go back. So that one I am done with. That one I don't have to go back to.
Okay.
Treasurer Miller has 1 more year of the 3-year, and then she's done with that conference. And then the rest is just the basic continuing education updates on changing legislation, because the legislation for clerks is bonkers.
Okay.
And seminars, 1-dayers, just, drive somewhere and come home the same day. Those are all in, at least in my line item.
All right.
So
Thank you.
I'm done with that. It's called Institute. The treasurer still has 1 year of Institute.
Institute. Okay, thank you.
See, my line of questioning was basically, I'm glad you said the less we use you, the cheaper you are. So that's-
Yeah, we're
that's-
hourly.
Yes, so that's
So-
what my line of questioning
Yeah,
was.
it's not a
Please take
retainer.
some courses, and online courses. Love having you around, but expensive. But you're good.
Thank you.
I'm okay with taking more.
And off that last meeting too, I do appreciate when you went back to 2018 and cleaned up that mess, brought it forward. Didn't get a chance to say anything to you then, but good job.
Thank you.
We done? Mr. Parker, Mr. Edwards?
Did we get a
Bartholomew?
response? I was still waiting for.
No,
Oh.
she's adding them up.
We got charged a different, we do the allocation. we got charged a different.
Well, you can stick around for your response.
So I guess, was there any additional changes other than, or ones that maybe we missed? I
No.
believe we got them all.
It's not a change, but it's a question. Under street lighting, we're anticipating our expenses going down by $9,000.
Let's take a look.
You sure the signs made it in there, under beautification, cleaning up the village signs?
Yeah,
That was
that-
nice, 5,200,
Yep,
nice start.
I saw that.
Let me get to it.
Are we good? Or are you still waiting for the response?
She's looking it up.
Just waiting for
Huh?
an answer.
She's
Now
looking
we're,
it
now
up.
we're both looking up stuff. Huh?
96.5.
Okay, 96,500.
96.5.
Okay. Get up to street lighting. What's the department on that? Can you tell me? The middle number? 101?
448921.
Thank you. Okay. 107. Okay, we'll look into why we have that going down. I'm wondering if did we buy new light poles? Because anything like capital would go in there, because they're not ours.
Okay, all right. That
And
makes sense.
That's the only thing I can think of as to why it would have gone down. Yeah, that's the only reason why I could think of it, why it would go down, and we have just the electrical charges in
Yeah.
there. But
Didn't
can
we
look
do
into that.
something with more efficient light bulbs too in there?
They've been switching
The
them out to
LED?
LED
Yeah,
as
that's-
they go bad.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a big difference.
I think that makes a big difference.
So then where would sidewalk funds be in here that we can?
They're under Fund 204. Go ahead and open that up.
Sidewalks, Department 495, right?
Yes, that
And it
sounds
talks
correct.
about, there's a footnote for sidewalks.
Yep,
Sidewalk
for
work
10.
related to street improvement.
But
And
then
then
you go to the next one,
residents.
sidewalk residents, 10,000.
Okay. So it'll just stay in capital outlay.
yep.
Okay.
10. And if we wanted to use some of that other funds to continue the sidewalk project.
From public improvement, yeah,
Yeah.
we could do a transfer over.
I have a quick question.
Yeah,
The two new police SUVs, is that out of 101 or motor pool?
no, that would be out of 101. Motor pool is only for DPW.
And then cemetery lot sales, shouldn't that be like a lot higher than 4,200 if we've got? How many?
49,
Let me see.
49, correct? But then we're assuming they'll all sell this year.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, we're assuming
They
that
have
it all
to.
sells before June 30th, that we get everybody's money before June 30th.
Of this coming year.
Okay.
2024.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fiscal year, next fiscal year.
So,
Okay.
And we did decide to leave the placeholder in there for the rubbish corrals?
yeah, that's in the 226 fund?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
530, 226, yeah. I didn't, I thought we decided not to leave that, but.
That's what I thought.
okay, you want that
I don't
taken out?
remember. Because if there was no plan, no actual, if the money's there, we can move it and use it. I don't know if we want to leave it ear noted for rubbish
Yeah.
corral if we've got
Yeah,
nowhere
we're-
to put it.
talking about maybe making an ordinance to make them put it there. Because I think the conversation was some were gonna use it and some wasn't. And why spend the money if, they weren't
Yeah,
gonna
if you
use it?
can't enforce it, then we're just, so leave the money in there, but not necessarily assign it until
Okay.
we have a real plan.
Okay, you want us
But
to
it,
take out?
I mean, if it's left there, ear noted,
Hmm.
footnoted, whatever for that, we can always move it.
Yeah, you
we
can
don't
just
have
not
to.
spend it. It's just there. We're just trying to figure out a way to knock down this fund balance, and that was one idea that President Poznanski had.
Yeah.
And so the 100,000 was just a placeholder, so we don't kind of forget.
Okay.
You know, maybe ask the engineer, how much would it cost, so then we could come to you with a plan. The only other way to knock down the fund balance is to decrease the levy, which we've done. We'll decrease it little by little every year until we get to a point where we're break even.
I think to help with the beautification of downtown on our main streets like 32 and Van Dyke, we should have the rubbish people go in the back of the yards, back out to pick up the trash, we don't have to leave them on the main street. So it doesn't look bad.
About the
That'd be a
residents?
great thing to do for
If we
the
could give
main
it away,
streets, just the main streets.
we
You talking
could
about
give it away
residents?
alleys, we could do that.
Giveaway alleys, there you go.
Truck going up and down some of the
Just
driveway.
have them go in my backyard. It's perfect.
Cut the grass while you're
Yeah, I
back
don't see
there, right?
anything else.
Me neither.
So leave the 100,000 in rubbish, or take it out?
I would leave it there, because
Okay.
personally, again, maybe I'll get some feedback from that, but if you put it somewhere else, you forget that it's there. And you forget what you're doing. I would just leave it earmarked for the.
Okay, we'll do that.
Personally.
Yep, yeah, and like, if you don't spend it, you don't spend it.
So based on the project, I see where we're at with the franchise fees again, the true up is ear noted in there, or footnote, I keep saying ear note, footnote, whatever you wanna call it,
It's okay.
so I can hear it, I don't feel it. Yep, that was it.
Okay,
Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Well-
second.
just so.
Unless you have
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah, so just the changes from today, or just, it sounds like, are we changing education and training? Because we're gonna prep the resolution today, or tomorrow morning, to get to Catherine to put on next week's agenda. So we wanna make sure we have everything in there for you to vote on it. I know we're kind of back and
I mean,
forth, so,
It sounds like you're more concerned about the type of training that's happening, and not so much the training is happening. So I don't know if
Yeah,
it's, if it's a more, an approval process, or is that what we're discussing?
A little. It's a lot of money to have for training if you don't see what's coming out of it, or you don't know. Like, you know, if something's changing, like the iron plant, and they have to have a whole new procedure, that's great. But if they look at it and go, we got $4,000 for training, let's go here, let's do that, are we really getting value for it? So partly is we need to look at the budget. We've got an extreme amount of expenses coming up, and so looking at all those details, and is there value in it, and making sure there is. So it's a little both.
Mm-hmm.
I can respect what you're saying, so. While it might seem like a minimal amount, $1,000 or $1,500, if you look at that across the board of everything.
Right.
All the little amounts that we can shave and save
Right.
becomes a big amount.
Exactly, like even the uniforms, when do we bid
Yeah.
that out again? And the telephones, which was huge. I mean, that in and of itself made, and I questioned every one of those last year. Oh my God, how much for the telephone,
Yeah.
you know?
That was good.
So it's just making sure we're doing the best that we can, and training seems to be an easy one that we spend a lot of money on, but, you know, making sure that we're getting the value for it.
So I guess if it stays in a budget line and then the council looks at maybe adopting a policy per se that, for approval of trainings?
Or even, yeah, or feedback from the
Or
training.
feedback or something that,
Yeah.
We did create a policy for travel and conferences and continuing education.
I think for the expense and
For the
the
expense.
cost, and if and when we pay for a hotel and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I don't think, like, to trustee Russo's point was, we don't know what's happening, I guess. And I can see, I can respect where you're coming with that. Is it a necessary training, or is it
And sometimes you do have to blow off steam, but when you've got, you know, $40,000 a year in training out there, how do you answer to, is there value in it? That's all.
Okay.
I always think from my perspective, if the
Sure.
residents
Yeah.
ask me, then I need to be able to answer.
Yeah.
I answer
So
to
maybe we
them.
need to look at that policy and tweak it slightly, so that everyone's in the know,
Yeah.
transparency's there, and
Right,
we move forward.
I'm just thinking, if you're a supervisor, you're looking at that, that means you don't have, they don't have the same outlook you've got. They're gonna look at that, and they say, oh, council doesn't want us to do training. Because you're going backwards. Or staying the same. Council, they're gonna look at that negatively.
they might, but the
I
4,000
think they will,
residents in
it's
the
not that they
village,
might, they will. But they will also benefit from their training.
you would hope, but there's training that goes on that isn't always beneficial. And that's just a fact, we all know it. But I'm also looking at it from the perspective of the residents and the taxes that they're paying and what they're getting for it and can we answer for it and, you know, all those little things add up, buying coffee for Village Hall and you've got to be fiscally responsible.
I agree, but you've gotta have a trained staff.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
And you want
Is
to-
there value in that training? I'm not saying no training, I'm saying making sure there's value in it.
But they're not gonna go above and beyond what's in that budget, $4,400.
Why not?
Because it's in the budget, that's what's in the
You know,
budget.
the clerk shares her budget if someone else goes over.
But I doubt wastewater treatment plant does, and I doubt that DPW does.
Yeah. And if they need it, they can take it. I'm saying there needs,
You know that, but they don't know that.
So if
So-
let's just say 45 is there and they use up the money in that specific department. As you said, there is other funds that they could tap into to continue their education, right?
Yeah, I didn't mean to open up this discussion, I'm more sorry we changed the line or not, because for the resolution, I don't want to put a number in front of you and then it's not what you wanted.
Right. Yeah,
That's what I'm
what-
no,
asking.
I didn't suggest any other.
Okay, so no changes.
Changes.
Okay,
So-
that's all I wanted to know, because
Yeah.
we have to prep it
Yeah, I didn't
tomorrow morning,
suggest
so.
anything specific.
Okay, thank you.
So we're good?
Yeah, sounds like it, that was my only question.
No, we're good.
I think so.
Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?